have you been in Plumstead and what are you doing here?
I've lived here 57 years. What am I doing here specifically? I'm cooking at the moment in the volunteer.
How long have you been working as a volunteer?
Not long, about 5 weeks. Only 5 weeks. I was area manager for a company that worked with substance users, and then I left and started working in a hospice because I'm actually a nurse. And then I had cancer myself, so I had to leave, and I haven't been back to work. So this is really my first attempt at employment, really, and because Debbie's a friend, it was easier.
How do you like it here?
I like it.
Do you know
most of the time.
Do you know the people well?
Most of them, yeah, fairly well. It's changed, I mean, here, because apart from the pub changing hands quite a few times over the last 10 years, it's changed in other ways. A lot of the old characters have died. People that you would actually regard as, that you know instantly when you walk in, it's 1 o'clock, they're going to be here or whatever, which is quite sad, and we've had quite a few deaths over the last 2 years. And they've all been of an age. I mean, I'm not saying they're sudden, tragic and young, but it's still sad because you get to know them.
Yeah. How has Plumstead changed?
53 years, 57 years, oh my God.
You know everything here.
I think for me the biggest change is there's a total lack of amenities now for young people, nothing. When I was growing up we had Plumstead Gardens, which had a roller skating rink, which was also used as dancing in the summer. And we had a swimming pool, not actually in Plumstead, although we had like a public baths that you could go to a swimming pool. But we had an open air swimming pool at Danson Park, which is where most of the people went, sort of holiday times and stuff like that. And there was a youth club over the road and a social centre that's now a bloody car park. There are no play centres as such after school where kids can go. So you just see a lot of kids totally disenfranchised walking the streets now. When people talk about feral kids and all this kind of stuff, it makes me quite angry because there isn't anything for them. And I think the ways people socialise, the ways people drink has changed. You get a lot of street drinking now, which you didn't have when I was a child or when I was growing up. You would never be seen eating in the street, let alone walking along with a beer, a can of beer in your hand.
How do you feel about the change?
I don't like it, but it doesn't. I don't get frightened when I see groups of people or anything like that. I do feel disconcerted by the street drinking and the number of fast food shops there are, chicken and chips, because that creates an enormous amount of litter that's distributed across the borough. So things like that, I think, do make you actually stop and think. And you don't see, like, police personnel. When I was a kid, you used to see them in the street. If you had been a bit naughty, you got a clip round the ear and sent home. But I mean, that doesn't happen anymore because the police would get done for assault. And you don't see them anywhere. Speed past in a car, but nothing else. And I think for older people in the community, I think there is a sort of a level of fear of violence. And you can't go shopping without seeing at least one person, if you're in a big supermarket, shoplifting. The level of shoplifting, because we've got quite a large number of substance users within the borough, so you see quite a bit of sort of minor crime, if you like.
In regards to shopping, where actually do you do your shopping?
Now, supermarkets mainly.
Which one?
Morrison's at Thamesmead, or I just stay in Woolwich. That's annoying. And or Sainsbury's. The bigger supermarkets. I buy a lot of green grocery from the sort of Asian shops because it's usually fresher and it's better quality, and it's cheaper. Both. I mean, when I was in my 20s, so you came along this high street. You had we had a fabric shop, 3 or 4 butchers, bakers, fishmongers. And fish and chip shops. I mean, you didn't have Chinese restaurants, you didn't have chicken and chips, and all that kind of stuff.
So what happened to them?
They've all gone. It's like the local post office. We've got one local post office now, but the post office, which would have been the main one for Plumstead, was further along the road, and that's now. I think they sell films, well, DVDs. It's and that's run by an Asian family as well. So people are sort of pushed into supermarkets more or less because there's nothing else. And a lot of people, I suppose, especially older people, aren't going to go and use an Asian greengrocer because they won't trust the produce. It'll be different, it'll be foreign or whatever. You know, they're not of an age where they're going to try new things.
But you do try them?
Yeah. Yeah, because I make curries and stuff like that.
You do?
So I have to, well, I don't have to, but yeah, I do. And also, I suppose when I was nursing, because I lived in, for years, lived in the nurses' home, and that was quite sort of, there was a really diverse sort of cultural breakdown. So you had Indian food, you had West Indian food, you know. And that was quite good, so I learnt sort of different things from different people. And there were 5 of us to a flat, so we used to share cooking and we'd do theme nights and all stuff like that. So you learnt a fair bit. And when I was working, even within the care field, with substance users, because a lot of drug users don't pay that much attention to things like diet, their own well-being, that was part of the work we did. So I used to do sort of general housekeeping and cooking sessions to help them really sort of prepare nutritious, cheap meals and stuff, but stuff that was tasty, so you begin to rely more on various spices and what have you. And make it more interesting for people as well.
So if someone was coming into Plumstead, how would you guide them from the railway station to the end of the high street, telling them...
Which end? That end?
From the railway station, yes, to that end. How would you tell them what kind of supply could they get from the high street?
What, as in, where would they get their home supplies?
Mm-hmm.
From the
station.
You've got a few small supermarkets, so I suppose their sort of goods are fairly restricted. And then you've got the co-op in Lakedale Road, halfway up Lakedale Road, or you've got Summerfield
where
along
they can
here.
What can they get there?
Well, you can get everything, you know, everything for your household needs, and for cookery, you know, for cooking, etc. Summerfield's about the best stocked out of all of them, I think. You know, but you can get everything from pet food to light bulb, really. And then you've got a lot of the smaller shops where you know, they sell like kids' toys, they sell dustpans and brushes, and then you've got the pound shops that sell lots of little items, plates. A lot of the crockery we use here comes from there. And I buy lots and lots of containers for food because a lot of people take food away. So that, I mean, that's really useful as well. And if you have to poke around a bit because it's really compact and tightly packed with. Yeah, that's about it. You've got one baker's in Lakedale Road. We only have a couple of halal butchers. We don't have any other type of butcher here in Plumstead, apart from off of the main drag in McLeod Road, which is down from the main road. So halal butchers are okay, but obviously you're not going to get beef. You're going to get lamb, chicken in the main. It's good quality though. As long as you forget about, you know, how it's slaughtered. Yeah, it's all right.
So basically,
if you're vegetarian, you're starved to death. No, you wouldn't, because you've got quite a good variety of different outlets if you know what you're cooking.
So basically the family or someone new, a stranger coming to this area, would survive having everything they need in this area? Or would they need to go out and buy?
No, you could survive quite easily. You just may pay a little bit more sometimes, but you may pay less. In other ways, you may not have to pay for petrol, parking, etc. So, you know, it swings and roundabouts. I think if I was moving into the area now, and I was, I don't know, 25, 30, I think the biggest thing I'd worry about would be educational facilities. Because within Plumstead itself, I don't think the standard of schooling is that high. And it's a bit of a lottery finding an appropriate school for your kids. And healthcare. the QE is really good, but some of the GPs are lacking because of sheer numbers of patients.